Hello, I'm Benji Hardy. Here are your news headlines for Thursday, February 11th. We'll start off with an arrest in Hot Springs. Hot Springs Judge Wade Naramore has been charged with negligent homicide in the July 2015 death of his son, that's 18-month-old Thomas Naramore. Special Prosecutor Scott Ellington announced in a news release today that Naramore surrendered himself at the Garland County Detention Center, where he was booked and released on a $5,000 bond. The family has said that the death of the child was accidental. The case has attracted attention in part for how long it's taken for Prosecutor Ellington to reach a decision on whether or not charges would be filed, but evidently they have been. More than 100,000 children in the state of Arkansas are at risk of losing health insurance coverage soon under Our Kids, the state's program for insuring children from low to middle income households if families fail to respond to a letter from the Department of Human Services seeking a renewal of coverage under new federal eligibility guidelines. Just to be clear, this is not an issue about either the state government or the federal government intentionally kicking kids off their insurance. It's more about a technical change to the renewal process that could have big consequences for families if they don't respond to the letter. So if your children receive Our Kids right now and your family's financial situation hasn't changed, your children are still eligible, but you do have to renew coverage. DHS began sending notices to about 212,000 families around the state in the middle of last year, telling them they needed to renew. And a spokesperson for the agency said that it has performed an extensive outreach effort since then over the last 6 months, working with schools, libraries, medical providers, and community organizations around the state to get the word out. Nonetheless, not everyone has responded. As of January, about 170,000 families had renewed coverage, which means about 42,000 families containing over 100,000 individual children could see their coverage lapse. The agency will begin closing cases at the end of February, said the spokesperson, if families don't respond. More details to that are on the Arkansas blog. Moving on, earlier this week we reported that a right-wing dark money group from out of state, the Judicial Crisis Network, is heavily investing in a race for the Arkansas Supreme Court. The group bought $336,000 worth of statewide TV ads in all of Arkansas's major television markets to attack Associate Supreme Court Justice Courtney Goodson, who's running for the position of Chief Justice on the March 1st election. Now, there's evidence the group has spent even more than that. Direct mail advertisements and a website have popped up pursuing largely the same line of attacks against Goodson. They say that she's an insider beholden to rich special interest groups such as trial lawyers. Unfortunately, we can't tell you exactly how much money was spent on the mailers or the web advertising because there's no way to track such spending by outside organizations like the Judicial Crisis Network that operate independently of campaigns and that engage in supposed voter education. What's more, who donated to the group is itself unknown because it's what's called a dark money group. These are nonprofits set up for political purposes, and unlike, say, PACs or super PACs, they don't have to disclose their donors. So to sum up, that means that an out-of-state organization is spending an unknown amount of money that came from an unknown place to intercede in an Arkansas State Supreme Court race. Goodson's opponent in the race, Circuit Judge Dan Kemp, has distanced himself somewhat from the campaign by the Judicial Crisis Network. In a letter to supporters yesterday, Kemp insisted that he had no prior knowledge of the organization and added, however, that, quote, the JCN raises what I see as legitimate questions about Ms. Goodson's publicly disclosed acceptance of lavish gifts. In other ethics news, Matt Campbell, the Little Rock attorney behind the Blue Hogg Report blog, continues to hold State Treasurer Dennis Milligan's feet to the fire on his questionable campaign finance reporting. Campbell yesterday filed a petition for judicial review of a decision by the Arkansas Ethics Commission on the matter of Milligan's campaign contribution reports from the 2014 election. Now, last week, Milligan paid a $400 fine to settle 4 violations of state ethics rules stemming from Campbell's complaint. But that complaint, which Campbell filed back in August of last year, contained allegations of a number of additional ethics violations. And the Ethics Commission said that Milligan could raise a defense to those allegations based on a 2015 law that allows public officials a 30-day window to correct an unintentional error on a finance report once it's been pointed out. Now Campbell is asking the Pulaski County Circuit Court to review that decision by the Ethics Commission. Campbell says the 2015 law shouldn't apply in this case because the state treasurer's campaign finance reports in question were filed in 2014 and the law isn't retroactive. We'll see what the court says. Finally, Dr. Mary Good, the chair of the Little Rock Tech Park, has announced that she will step down from the position on March 15th Good said she would stay longer if needed until her replacement is named. She's been the chair of the tech park since it was formed as a nonprofit in 2011, and that venture has, of course, struggled to get off the ground for years, though in Friday, the tech park is supposed to close on its first purchase of real estate on Main Street downtown. Good, who is 84, was the founding dean of the George W. Donaghy College of Engineering and Information Technology at UALR. That's all for now. We'll be back tomorrow.